In this video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of how I shot a cinematic travel film on the Sony Alpha Cinema Line FX2 in a magical place called Lake Bled in Slovenia. I'm going to show you how I structured the shoot, how I found some of the most insane locations I've ever filmed at, the exact gear I used, how I wrote and recorded the voiceover, how I colour graded everything, and a whole lot more. And this is going to show you exactly how you can achieve similar results on the FX2. But before I begin, I need to give you a backstory of how this project even came about. It all started with a message from Sony. They asked me to go and shoot a project on the FX2 to push its boundaries, test its limits. I felt inspired to go and create something that acted as a metaphor for the new camera itself. The whole idea of the FX2 is that sometimes when you shoot with different cameras or new pieces of equipment, you gain a fresh perspective. And a lot of the time when you travel, you kind of become a little bit numb to these stunning, beautiful places. And so I thought to myself, let's create something that acted as a metaphor of shooting through new eyes. And this idea of Through New Eyes was born. And so the next step for me was to create a pitch deck in Canva. So my pitch deck consists of a concept where I break down the actual idea that I'm going to be doing in Slovenia, product details, which just breaks down my video length, my format, my resolution and deliverables. It breaks down the tone and style, the different locations that we're going to be shooting at. It also really solidifies the visual style and the editing style, just to really communicate to the client the vision that we're going for. And then obviously the mood board. Now I build my mood boards mostly on Pinterest. So what I do is I go onto Pinterest, it's a free site, and I just search for different things that inspire me. I create a board. This is pretty much how I start every single project, by finding different ideas that inspire me. And all of these stills here, you can see, are taken from Pinterest, and they've really inspired me. And this was the kind of style and aesthetic I was going for within the film. And what's crazy to look at now is when you look at the mood board and then you look at your project and you see the shots you envisioned getting and the actual shots you got, and you see the comparisons, and it's pretty cool to see. And then another thing I do is I break down the project timeline. So I really just show the actual journey of what's happening in the project process. After I created my pitch deck, I then moved to a software called Milanote, which is a free website, and you can do all your pre-production on it. And Milanote is actually the sponsor of this video. Now, I've actually been using Milanote in my pre-production process for years. I'm super grateful for the opportunity to be talking about a software that I genuinely believe in. I use it as a visual place where ideas can exist before they actually make sense. I'll drop in fragments of voiceovers, colours, textures, references, anything that helps define the emotional direction of the film. The way I see Milanote is it's almost a second brain. Now, I would say this software is perfect for any creator that really wants to up their game, for anyone who really wants to have intention behind their art. So if you do want to implement this tool into your creative process, there's a link in the description that you can sign up with. I started by mapping out my concept and mapping out all the locations. For my model, I created a style guide to show her the kind of outfits and style that I wanted her to wear. I broke down all the gear that I was going to be using. Once I'd done a lot of the pre-production for the project, I then moved on to create my storyboard, which again, Milanote is really good for, as it has templates built out. And so what I do with my storyboard is I didn't break it down shot by shot, because this was a kind of situation where we had specific locations mapped out. I had ideas of shots I wanted to get and a rough kind of storyline for the video, but I also wanted to allow myself to go with the flow of the trip. We went to some incredible locations that we'd be driving by, and we'd just stop in the middle of the road and shoot there. And these are the kind of shots that can sometimes be the best shots. So I wanted to be flexible in that sense. The benefit of doing the storyboard is that when I was on location and shooting, I could bring up my storyboard and I knew the key themes and the key shots that I wanted to get. And so I knew that I needed to get certain drone shots of like the clouds passing over the mountains. I needed to have a specific shot where I was going to do the shift. You know, when I was on location and we were shooting at sunrise on one of the days, there was a shot where I was filming Elle's eyes, and then the sun was rising behind her. It kind of starbursted behind her eyes, and this flare was just the perfect time to shift from black and white to colour. I actually wrote my voiceover after I shot the film. You know, I put ideas down on my notes. Whilst I was writing it, I was thinking about ways that I could connect the shots into the voiceover. And then I literally recorded my voiceover with this mic right here, which is a Rode NT USB mic, into GarageBand software. And something I do with all my voiceovers is in DaVinci Resolve, I use voice isolation, which is the new AI software integrated into DaVinci Resolve, and it just cleans up your audio, makes it sound super cinematic, gets rid of any kind of background noise. So definitely try it out on your next voiceover. So let's talk about gear. Obviously, I shot this film on the Sony FX2, which is the brand new Sony Alpha Cinema Line camera, the latest edition. The Sony FX2 is a compact powerhouse that gives me a load of capabilities of you know, the FX3, the FX6 even, but in a much smaller body. And one thing I love about the FX2 is that it has an EVF. And for me, while shooting in Slovenia in, you know, super bright conditions, and it was actually a heat wave whilst we were filming, for like 99% of the shots, I was filming with the EVF. So I pretty much shot the whole film on the Sony 35mm 1.4G Master. And the reason for this is because I love this lens. It's just insane. I can't tell you how versatile it is. I loved not having to overthink by, you know, constantly changing focal length, but being on the 35mm fixed focal length and just getting such beautiful frames with the shallow depth of field. And the look of this lens, I absolutely love it. Another thing to mention as well was the autofocus was insane and I never missed anything. Then I also got a couple of shots on the Sony 50mm 1.2 G Master. What I loved about this lens is that when we were losing light, I had a few extra stops to work with to really elevate my visuals. And then I got a couple of the super macro texture shots on the Sony 70-200 2.8 G Master macro shots. Diopters allow you to get super macro shots even if your lens doesn't zoom in that far. So what you do is you screw it onto your lens and then you'll see in your shots you're able to get much closer up than you would with just your lens. And these are pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things instead of buying a whole new lens. So definitely invest in a diopter if you want to get those really cool super macro texture shots. I really love the look of the 35mm because it gave me a certain distance from myself and the subject. However, it wasn't too far away that there was kind of lows going on the frame. There's a clear kind of focus. For most of the shoot, I used a Polar Pro VND filter. Depending on how bright the sun was, I would use either 2 to 5 stops or 6 to 9 stops. I find specifically with the Polar Pro filters that you don't get a tint in the colours. So the drone shots were captured with the DJI Mavic 3 Classic. It's travel friendly, but it is incredible the capabilities that the drone has. And this allowed me to get those stunning aerial shots that really set the scene in the beginning. What I did on the shoot is I overexposed by plus 1.7. I was shooting in S-Log3, and what this allows you to do is it preserves more dynamic range, so you're able to be more flexible in the grade. So make sure when you're shooting, you're overexposing by roughly 2 stops. I made the decision to actually shoot most of the film in handheld, and this is because in the past I was shooting a lot of stuff with the gimbal, but recently I've been loving the handheld feel, the kind of natural, authentic feel that you get that allows you to really connect with, you know, the subject of the film. And thanks to the FX2's incredible stability settings, I was able to capture shots without needing a tripod or any kind of stabilizer, and you know, it's super stable. We just needed to see it through new eyes. In the final shots of the film, I was playing around with a concept called negative space, which really allows you to create a sense of isolation in the frame. I thought this was really powerful in the final frame because it really allows you to connect with this theme of solitude, connect with the theme of observing, being still. By using tools within composition and framing, this allows us to really convey certain feelings and tone to our audiences, so I was really playing into this. One of the things that was super special about this shoot is I went with 2 people that were super close to me. A lot of the times we were able to film stuff that was just authentic. We were filming some stuff during blue hour of Els and the moon above her, and all of a sudden the sky just looked so beautiful, and we had this idea to set the tripod up and jump on the car and just get this shot of all of us looking up at the stars and stargazing, and that was a genuine, authentic moment.
Can someone help me get down? Help you get down? Yeah.
And that to me really reminded me of what filmmaking, or travel filmmaking, is all about, is genuinely capturing a feeling. I edited in DaVinci Resolve, and what I did was I dropped all my clips into the timeline, went through every single clip and clipped up the parts that were usable and pulled these up. And from here, I then take all of those clips, select them all, drop them into another timeline. I then delete all the gaps. I then have a timeline which is just my selects, and so then when I start my actual edit, I can just simply pull in all my selects, which are the best and usable parts of the rushes. I got my music from Artlist, which you can go onto Artlist, you can specifically search for a thing using the AI software, and it gives you really good recommendations without you having to scroll for ages. I found a couple of tracks that I liked, and I was kind of testing out different ways I could build the actual film out, and I ended up using different tracks along the timeline. And there was actually 2 tracks that worked really well together and naturally faded into one another. which doesn't happen very often, so that was a pretty cool moment. And with the sound design, I also got my SFX from Artlist and also my own sound library that I've built up over the years. In terms of the color grading, I shot everything in S-Log3, 422 10-bit, and I shot in 4K. When I was filming, I just used my Gamma Assist to help me monitor what it would look like in Rec 709. Typically, my process for grading would be to convert my footage to Rec 709 first of all, to get it into the correct color space, and then from then on, I'll adjust my white balance, my exposure, my curves, my contrast, and then actually create the color grade. For this film specifically, I use my LUTs. You can kind of see here on screen the difference that these make. The ending shot, which was the hero shot, which was of Els, her silhouette. When we convert from log to Rec 709, you can see it's blue hour, and it looks really cool. But by adding one of my LUTs on, I was able to convert it to golden hour and to get this beautiful sunset look, which I think was super strong, and I loved it. I really wanted to push the colours in this film so I could really showcase the capabilities of the FX2. I did that by, as I said before, having the black and white in the beginning and then shifting the colours during that reveal and really showing off those colours that S-Log3 can obviously get, making sure I was shooting at the native ISO, so 800 or 4000, and this allows you to get less noise in your footage and obviously get a cleaner look. The sound design is a super important part of any travel film, and what I did with this is I laid ambient, so I used sounds of the forest, sounds of the wind, sound of the sea to really make the atmosphere feel alive. But it's also super important to mix your sound, so once you've laid all of your sound effects, I made sure to level everything out. So I made sure nothing was peaking above -12 for one, but also making sure that the music was at a certain level so that it didn't override the voiceover. I let the voiceover breathe and really lead the video. So I shot in a mix of frame rates. I shot a lot of stuff at 25 frames to give it that cinematic raw feel, but then I also shot some stuff at 50 frames if I wasn't sure whether I was going to slow it down or not in post, and it gave me the flexibility to do that. For the ending shot with Els during sunset, I knew I wanted this to be in slow motion, so I shot this in 100 frames, which allows me to get that super dramatic slow-mo. And so in my mind, I'm just thinking when I'm shooting, what is the pace of this shot going to be? If I know it's going to be during a fast-paced bit, I'm probably going to shoot it at 24 or 25 frames, depending on the project. If I know it's going to be a dramatic, emotional kind of shot, I'm going to probably shoot it at 100 frames. You need to have a think about what feeling you want to evoke. The FX2 has a 33 megapixel camera, which is insane because before I'd be shooting, hybrid video and stills on the Sony A7S III, which has a 12 megapixel sensor. The hybrid capabilities is basically having an FX3 that also takes stills, so it's pretty impressive in that sense. When I reflect on the creation of this film, it definitely wasn't easy. There were definitely challenges along the way. Having such a short amount of time to prep and get everything ready for the shoot. When we were in Slovenia, some of the locations didn't quite work out. So we had to be flexible and adapt and find other things that were going to work. Another thing as well is that a lot of the time when you go to these stunning locations, there can be a lot of tourists if you don't go super early. And so it's about adapting to this and figuring out solutions to these problems. So, okay, we went to a tourist location. That teaches me the lesson that next time I'm going to go to less touristy places and get more unknown places where there's less people, because I can get just as good shots to tell my story that way. I think for me, shooting on the FX2 was an incredible experience, and this whole project really allowed me to connect and delve back into why I got started in filmmaking, which is to make people feel. The FX2 being a more entry kind of level camera into the cinema line, its capabilities are insane. Sony's really listening to creators and they are offering solutions. And so after all that breakdown, Through New Eyes was a project that I'm super proud of. I hope that this breakdown has really showed you what goes into creating something that really means something. If you're a filmmaker or creative, I hope you can take some of the techniques that I've spoken about today and implement it into your own work and really elevate it to tell your stories. If you are new here, I'm Lucy, I'm a travel filmmaker, and if you want to join along on the journey, just tap subscribe below. If you want to check out my Instagram as well, I do post pretty much daily over there. Looking forward to connecting with you guys, and I appreciate all the support.